Hausmann.
And I'm Lena Kantis.
We're going to share some ideas of quick ways to finish your cards that you create in 5D Card Shop. Right? Now, I've got some quick ways, but I wanted to go through this pile because I'll tell you, there's some cute ways here, and it's so easy. Do you save all your little scraps?
Absolutely.
Everything that's left over? I do too. So those pieces that you have left over, maybe it's binding. Maybe it's bias binding you're going to use. Or how about pieces of sequin left over?
Yes.
And ribbons, perfect. And rickracks that we have around the edge here of this one. Some rickrack left over from a wedding project, maybe, the white. And these were your beads we pouched on the edge.
That was a tiny little bit that I had.
Yeah. And ribbons, and of course the hot fix crystals. And I hope everyone, we always have a few left over, but
Absolutely.
not the colors that, you know, we can use them on everything. And then of course this was something left over from a big project.
Glamorous.
Yeah, a big, just a little tiny bit left over. But Lena, as I was doing some of this finishing and turning them as little quilts and creating them with the cardstock, it hit me that, hey, I could do this with the Serger.
Quicker.
We could finish our cards with the Serger and much quicker. And so you could do Christmas cards for everyone on your list using your Serger to finish off your cards that are created in 5D Card Shop, right?
And it sure does look pretty.
Can you create this one for everybody to show them how quickly you could create it?
Yes, we will start with that. Go to the holiday theme. And we are doing the full folded cards. So click next. Here you can see it right away. It's a beautiful one.
It's pretty.
And we are going to make it slightly bigger, so we select the medium size. And we're going to stitch it out in the largest hoop that we have. Click on finish.
Finish. It's
Yes.
ready.
Yeah, it's ready.
Okay, so
Isn't
now
that neat?
just write it to your USB stick,
Yes.
put it in your machine,
Exactly.
and stitch it out. So here we see that it has been stitched out in the hoop and trimmed to about a 1/4 inch around the outside edge, which is simple with your rotary cutter because the Card Shop program stitches this outline marking for you, so you don't have to even think about it. Now, this was the other thing. I thought, how could I make this stiff and fast? And I thought, hey, fusible web. And there are different weights. I use the regular weight, not the lightweight of the fusible web. And if you don't know what that is, it's different brands, but it's paper-backed fusible web. So the paper pulls off, and the twos have paper on both sides. But I'm going to try to get this piece up to show everybody. It's like glue in fabric form, but I want you to be sure that you buy one that can be stitched through. That's important. Some of these don't work with the sewing machine. So be sure you buy a brand that can be stitched through because you want to add stitching and decorative, and in this case, serging. So cut this to size, and really we could have used just a 1/4 of it, but to make it a little stiffer, I actually used a 1/2 of my card so that as I open this up, and by the way, you can't take a pin and just score this. Sometimes that's the quick way for people like me that don't have fingernails. But one side paper always pulls off easier. There's your sticky. And take your sticky and put it on the wrong side here. And then once you put it on, you'd be on a pressing surface. And you take your iron and you'd iron it on. Now you want to line it up with your edges there, your lined edges. And once you've got that iron on to the edge, then you pull the other paper off the top. But I've got a little tip. Let it cool.
Okay.
Don't try to pull this other paper off. Why? Well, because when it's hot and you try to pull this paper off, it's like a big globby. It kind of pulls up. Yeah, it pulls up off the fabric. Instead of laying there in a sheet form like this, it kind of goes and pulls up with it.
Chewing gum.
Like chewing gum. Yeah. So now you fold this over and now get it lined up right. And now you press. And with lots of steam, that will hold it together beautifully. Yeah, just steam it together.
Forever.
Stick forever. Yes. Now, obviously, all we have to do is go to our serger, because this will be pressed. My iron's not on. Pressed flat and firm, and we're going to go to the serger, and we're going to finish these 3 sides. Now, with decorative thread. Isn't that cool? There's so many decorative threads.
Do we have a few?
We have a few. And here's the thing. A lot of times I will buy one of the decorative. And this I put in my upper looper.
Yes.
And then on the lower looper, I just have regular thread. But if you wanted to, you could have pretty thread in both loopers. And you'd have the I call it serger binding on both sides. And then in your needle, you would just put standard thread of a similar color. But in this case, I used this decorative thread on the upper looper and the standard thread in the lower looper and the standard thread of the needle. Now, the thicker the thread, the lower the upper looper tension. What's good about this is it gets you a chance to play with the machine. You know, I normally use my serger for finishing, and those discs are clamped down on the thread, but when you get fat thread in there, it's going to, the tension discs are going to hold it. So you loosen the tension and those discs open up, and that can go through and go through much faster.
So you practice on a little bit of a scrap before you go ahead on your real project?
You got it. Look here. First thing I did was threaded with thread and balanced my stitch because I hadn't used my serger as a 3-thread. And then I put, and you'll see this is where I started. I put this in the upper looper, and as I loosened the upper looper tension, that flattened out and got very much like a board. Isn't that cool?
It's pretty.
And then when you're finished, if you put a couple of drops of the little fray check on the edge here, and on the edge here, and on the edge here, and let that get hard, or, you know, you don't need tons of it, and then trim off those threads. I also put it at the corners just to kind of protect those corners.
It stays perfect in that way.
I know, because I do a lot of programs. I know a lot of ladies don't like to go around corners with their sergers. So I thought, well, phooey, we could do the same thing, except in this case, again, we put that web in there. We folded this down, we steamed it, and we trimmed it, and guess what? We did curves, so you don't have to go around a corner. You like that?
Yeah, it's cool.
And here again, I actually didn't have any threads that were exactly the same, so I just used a pail, like a thread in the needle, and on the other side, I used a plain green. But the glitter thread is so pretty for the good luck card. We want to wish someone good luck. So another one, and then the giant card, and this is the largest size you can make in the 5D card program. It's very big, and of course we would sew this out. If people have industrial machines, they could sew this out in one hooping, but we would sew this out in actually 4 hoopings on our home embroidery machines. And here you see, hey buddy, let's go surfing, let's catch a wave. And this was done with this serger thread in the upper looper, and then just standard thread in the lower looper. And again, remember, loosen that upper looper tension. A lot.
Practice on the scrap.
And always, you'll find, and you've got scraps that you've turned off. So always practice on a scrap till you get it done. And your scrap should have the same stuff in it.
Exactly. It's the same weight.
So, quick way of doing it, right?
Yes. Quick.